Okay, the second story. It was his worst trip ever. Tim decided to surprise his then girlfriend Kathy with a weekend getaway to Las Vegas after the college exams were finally over. She was really excited, and they decided to go by car as it was just a 5-hour drive, and nothing could possibly go wrong. It was the first time they traveled together. He picked her up at the dorm, and he was the one driving, and Kathy was the one at the passenger seat, acting like a navigator. She had planned the route in advance, and now she was telling him whether to go straight, turn left or right. He knew the route perfectly well, and he had a GPS in his car, but still he was pretending to follow her directions. There were some fun places to check out on the way, so they decided to include them into their trip. Soon after setting off, they had a flat tire, and so he had to pull off the road and fix it. An hour and a half and a pair of greasy hands later, the problem was fixed, and they set off again. He was just hoping that this little incident won't spoil their emotions. At that point, they were getting a little hungry, so they decided to drop in a roadside cafe for lunch. It looked like a typical old school American diner from the 60s. They left their car at the parking lot and walked in. Tim ordered chicken taco and French fries and a Coke. Kathy had today's special. The food didn't taste very good, but at least it was hot and fresh. They also ordered some sandwiches from their take-out menu. After lunch, they paid the bill, left a tip for the waitress that served their table, and went out. As they were heading to the parking lot, he had realized that he had forgotten to lock the car, and the door didn't seem to be shut. So it was. Their car was broken into, and the thief stole Tim's iPad, Kathy's wallet, and Tim's sneakers. And of course, the thief was nowhere to be seen. The parking lot was empty. So they sat back into the car in a depressed state of silence and drove off. Uh, about 50 miles later, Tim started feeling intense pain in his stomach, and Kathy also felt sick. She asked to stop the car as she felt nauseous and was about to throw up. Her face was pale as if she was going to faint. All the symptoms of food poisoning. The damn food from the American diner wasn't that fresh after all. They took some pills from the first aid kit and were hoping they would help. Mhm. Busy as they were, they didn't notice that the car was running out of gas, and there were no gas stations around. So they didn't have a chance to fill up the tank, and they got stuck in the middle of desert with no gas and no hope. They pulled over to the side of the road and were waiting for help. They sat on the roadside for half an hour or so, and then there was a big truck that stopped by. Kathy was waving like crazy as the sign of human presence. The driver turned out to be very helpful. He lent them some gas to be able to make it to the nearest gas station. So at last they found a place to refill the tank. At a certain point, Kathy lost her patience and started yelling at Tim, blaming it was all his fault, and instead of this damn adventure, she should have gone to her friend's party. So they got into fight, blaming each other, and in the end, she turned away from Tim and was staring out of the window with a blank look on her face. His girlfriend was mad at him. Some of their stuff had been stolen, and they still felt sick after their lunch. It was getting late, and they were fed up with their adventure, so they agreed to stop at a motel for a night. The first motel they tried was fully booked, and as they were pulling up to the next hotel, he bumped into somebody's car at the parking lot. It was the last straw. It was a not very serious accident, but it was the climax of the day's misfortunes. And as an honest man, he left $50 to pay for the damage. So they filled in the form and checked in. They had a double room and breakfast included. The room was cold, and there was a smell of an old carpet and cigarette smoke. There was something wrong with the heating, but he didn't care anymore. He just got an extra blanket, pulled it over his head, and fell asleep. So the next morning they checked out and went back home. Kathy never called him again.